Hello there, and welcome to Purple Software. My name is Dollarsoft from Purple Software, and today we will be beginning our video tutorial series, the HTML, CSS, and MySQLi throughout the Code Zone project. So this is our very first video, and in this video, we will be talking about the introduction to HTML, what basically HTML is. And HTML is basically the markup language which is readable, which help the browser to view anything that you type inside HTML. You can just preview it inside the browser without any server or something else. So let's get into this video. So basically, before you do any programming, as we have a text editor like Word and other things to edit your document, we also use HTML editors to edit your code. Recently, we call most of them integrated development environment, which is IDEs, is what we also use to develop website and other projects. So basically, this is an IDE which is called Visual Studio Code, and we have others like Sublime Test. So in this video, I'm using Visual Studio Code. You can download it; it's free to download. Visual Studio Code with this blue icon. Then after you download it, first of all, let's create a folder on our desktop and rename it Code Zone. Name it Code Zone. Okay. And the next step, what we do next is to open our IDE and go to File and open a folder. So I'm now going to open a new folder which is on desktop, which is Code Zone. Okay, then we open it. Alright, so basically let me talk a little more about HTML. What you see here, anything you see on a page, this is an HTML web page. This is a web page. Yes, this is a single web page of a website, and this page, and there's another web page of this particular website, and you can see this. We have a lot of things here. We have things made up of input fields, labels, yes, and then links here. There's a link, info at it's a link, that's why it's underlined. And we have a submit button here. So basically, this is a HTML web page with some small CSS. The color that is used to style this is a CSS, and CSS basically means cascading style sheet. The sheet is code that are used to style it. For example, you being a human, your skeleton is your HTML, and the skin that has been added and your other things that are the CSS. You understand me? So CSS basically what comes together to embellish whatever you have. So by default, HTML, everything you write on a website without any CSS appears on the left side of your page. So this thing that you see here, move to the right hand way, done, or using the style sheet. You understand? Okay, so we are going to create a page. We are going to get deeper, but we are going to move step by step. So this video is basically to show you how we got this form, how we put this thing together, this labels, this title, sorry, this is a heading, and there's a input fields. Yeah, so you'll be able, at the end of this video, you'll be able to create something like this. So let's go back to okay, so we've created a folder called code zone, and then we've started a project. So you go to new file, inside you can see we are inside this code zone folder. So anything you create here, it will be inside the code zone folder. So you create a new file, you name your file. Let's name it index.html. So index basically is the master file inside, and a page inside a website that automatically loads the when the page load the website. This is the page that actually loads. So it's very important to name your main file index. Okay, so in every HTML web page, we start by using recently we use doc type, meaning the document type, and we are dealing with HTML right here, so we have to make the document type HTML. And mind you, the extension .html is very important. If you don't save it like this, you can never view it in the browser, because you are trying to tell the browser that this file you are opening is inside HTML. You understand? So let's continue on. It's a hypertext markup language. So browser, please open this file for me. And the browser has the ability and the capability to read this file and show you whatever you do. Okay, so anytime we are dealing with HTML, we start by typing document type HTML. This is not going to appear in the code, but it's very necessary. Okay, so right now, if I open my code zone folder, you see we have index.html here. Okay, so we next go to tags. What we have in HTML, we have tags, and tags are there. In HTML, we basically deal with tags. You understand? We have a whole lot of tags in HTML, and almost all the HTML tags, we open them and we close them. I think it's input and then br are the tags that we open and we don't close them, but strictly is br meaning a line break is why we don't close. It's always like this, br, just like this. Okay, so we have to wrap everything inside HTML like this. We open it and we close it. Everything that we are going to do inside this tutorial is going to be this HTML, because meaning you are wrapping your whole file inside the HTML hypertext mark. Everything you're going to do is going to be in a hypertext markup language or in a markup language. So what you have to know is that anytime you're coding any HTML, you have to bring this HTML opening and closing tags, and then the next thing inside the HTML is your head. Your head. Some people were asking whether these numbers are really important. These numbers are just from the editor to help you know the number of lines you've written in this, you know, website that you are building or something. So it's not really necessary. The numbers over here, And then how you are going to arrange your code, whether you bring this, you give a lot of space in between this, it doesn't really matter, just that it makes your code looks prettier, you understand. So inside the head, anytime you open a web page in a web browser, we have a title. Here we have, this is the title of this particular web page, which is HMS contact us. Yes, so to be able to create something inside the head, we create something called title. Don't forget to open every tag and close the tag. So in between the closing and opening tag of the title, we write the title there. It's going to be a normal text, so you have to write whatever you want your title to be. So I'm going to make my title code zone. Okay, save your code, and then now let's try to view whatever we've done. Open your code zone folder, double click on your file, and it will open in your default browser. And now we have code zone right here. This browser is going to confuse you, so let me use Firefox so that you understand it well. So let me paste my URL here. You see right now we have code zone, but the whole page is empty, meaning right now you've written the title for your HTML web page. And as I said, a web page in normal terms is like you have your notebook and then you've taken one page of your particular notebook. So let's say the notebook is your website, which contains web pages, which are the pages inside your notebook. So in real life situation, this is basically what it is. So this is a single page index.html that we've created, and we've given it a title code zone. So now after the title, we have to come back. We move out of the head because we are no more inside head. We are done with our title. We are now coming to the main body. Even in an essay, when you give your header, you come to your main or your dear sir or your application to whatever. You now come to your body, or when you finish your introduction, you come to the main body. So now we are coming to the body of this particular website. Body. And then inside the body, everything inside the body, everything you type inside the body, in between the closing and opening body tag, appears right here. It takes this page. It doesn't show inside the title browser head. No. So inside the body, that's where everything, the content of our website is really going to be. So we are going to start with some basic HTML tags, and then we first of all, to begin with, we are going to begin with the paragraph tag, which is represented by P. But don't forget to, anytime you open a tag, HTML tag, you have to close that particular tag except BR. So we have a paragraph tag here, and basically in Word, as you give a paragraph, it creates a kind of space for you. This is exactly the same way in Web it does for you. Anytime you create a paragraph, I think it leaves 2 lines for you. So we are beginning with the paragraph tag, and we have let's type innocent. Welcome. Welcome to Purple Software. Okay. Now if we preview this in our web browser, if we refresh our browser, we have the paragraph here. Right now, let me try and create another paragraph. You will see that it has left another 2 spaces. So P, let me close it and write something. Let's connect. Alright. So now let's preview that. You see it has created a paragraph right here. But remember, not all HTML tags inside the body create paragraph. Only few. But what basically create a paragraph is the P tag. And then when you use a heading to leaves one line to jump to the next line. Anytime you use a heading. But paragraph basically create a paragraph in your HTML page. So we are done with the paragraph. We are now going to heading, and in HTML we have 6 headings, which start from heading 1 to heading 6, and heading 1 is represented by H1, H2 for heading 2 up to heading 6. So now let's start and write some headings. And as I told you, every heading create one page. Sorry, it creates once, it leaves one line and moves to the other line anytime you use a heading. So we have H1, which is heading 1, and write heading 1 or anything that comes in between an opening tag and then a closing tag of an HTML is text. So you can choose to write anything in between here and in between here, inside the closing and in between the closing and opening HTML tag. All this thing you can see from the way the code is going. So we are done with heading 1. And then let's preview that. We see a big one, and the more you go down, the more the size reduces. Okay, so due to time, let's copy and paste heading 2, heading 3, heading 4, heading 5, heading 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you change the heading name to 3, 4, 5, 6, and you make sure you close them with the same 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so now let's preview this in the browser, and you can see as it goes down, the heading, it decreases. You understand? So depending on the type of website or the type of point you've got into, let's say if you're writing a title of your blog, you say you are creating a blogging website, and this title of your post, you can go and use heading 6. No, it doesn't work that way. So you have to know this, so that when to get to a point that you want to use them, you know exactly what to use. Sorry for the background noise. Alright, so as I told you, on this page we have a link here. You understand, there's a link. If you click on, it's going to take you to someone else or other things. So let's take them one after the other. We have another tag which is called a label tag. A label tag. And label tag is, for example, when you are logging into a student portal or any website, you see this thing right here is a label. It's just a normal text you use, name, email, mobile number, and yes. So label is gonna be just a text label, yes. And then, but we're gonna use it somewhere else. So let's move to the anchor tag. The anchor tag is what is used to create this link here. Understand? So let's create one anchor tag, but the anchor tag doesn't use it doesn't moves you to the next line. So let's try and see whether it's going to work. Don't worry, we'll talk more about the href and other things. For now, those things are called attributes, but now we are looking at the tags themselves. You understand? So let's close this tag. This goes on gmail.com. We've created a link here. So now let's preview this in the browser. Let's refresh, and you see we've created a link right here, and you can see exactly what it's doing right here. It's a link. So the anchor tag is basically used to create a link. For example, click here to log into your portal, click here to move to another page, or anything else. And we have an image tag. We have an image tag. Last in the beginning of the video, I didn't add the image tag, but I think I'll put that in another video. You understand, in that video before we talk about attributes. So let's talk about the basics of this tutorial. So now let's get back to the labels. Okay, I mean, there's one more thing that I want to show you. We have a marquee. It's kind of animation on a web page. So let's see that. Okay, so this also is an HTML tag that helps you text to move whether up and down, left to right, or okay. So we have other tags like strong if you want to get a bold outcome. Let's say strong, you're writing something and you want it to be bold, you can use strong. Hello code zone. Sorry. Okay, so you can see hello code zone boldly written here. Hello code zone boldly written here. So I think marquee to create another line, it takes you to another line, and then anchor to takes you to another line. But there are some tags like the label, it doesn't take you to the next line, that you have to use break br to do that. Okay, so now I want us to quickly move to the whole lot of tags. If we had to complete all the tags, we cannot move on, but these are some of the basic tags that you may be using them in your daily life or in your programming life. So we have if you want to underline, you use you, and it's going to underline for you. Just gonna underline for you. There we go. But you see this, you see hello Kozon and dear God, meaning that um this tag you here doesn't create take you to the next line. So to do move that dear God to the next line, we have to use the BR tag, which is the line break, to break this line to take you to the next line. Now you can see dear God is the next line. And we have em tag, a lot of tag that you have to learn to. Yeah, basically gives an italic way of, yes, it italicize the test for you. So, and it also doesn't use gives a line break, so you have to use a normal line break here. You have to break a line here so that the hello will come to the next line. Okay, so we have an italic here, we have strong, so you go through this kind of code and you will understand everything. So now let's move to our main thing, which is labels and forms. So before, you've been wondering how we submit forms, we are able to create areas to log into our student portal and other things. You may be wondering how all these things are able to come together to take your data. So to do that, we have a main HTML form, sorry, tag, which is the form tag, and then inside the form, that's where you are going to put your fields. Let's say you have a form, an admission form, and inside that form we have fields. We have fields that you have to submit to the dean of student or something. So we have a form here, we've opened a form and we've closed the form. So this time we have to use labels to create something like what we have here: name, email, mobile number, and description right here. So we are going to do get exactly same fields here. So first of all, let's use a label tag to write name. Anytime you open a tag, close it, apart from BR. Okay, so inside the label we have name here. Then after the name, you give a line break to move you to the next line, and you come and write inputs. Inside form we have input, and input basically this part when you have input to enter, to key in, to input something, to take something, to put something there, to key in. So this name here, this place that I'm entering is an input. It's a test input. You understand? So we have input. So we are going to use an input. So we write input, and we have the type, which is an attribute. But we're going to treat the attribute of an HTML tag next week. But for now, you have to know that input has type, which is an it attribute. The way you have legs, you can sing and do stuff as your attribute. Or you have nose, and what, let's say the nose is your attribute, and what is the nose used for breathing or whatever, I don't know. But input type, we have the type, or we have the human being, and we have the nervous system and other things. So we have the input and the type. All these are types of inputs. You understand? So we have input type button, input type checkbox, input type color, input type date, input type date time, the input type email. All this thing you are seeing here are input types. Input types tell, input type test, input type time, input type URL, input type week, all this thing and input type hidden, input type month. But the basic ones we are treating them one after the other. So by default, if you leave here empty, it's going to take an input type of text, meaning that it's basically everything. You can type everything there, or test a semester of everything, numbers and other things. So let's make this input type test. Okay, as I told you earlier, is input, we don't close it like we close those kind of tags, input and then br. So we just input type test, you can close it like this, and you're going to see a box right here. So now we have name and we have an input right here. So now you can also input something here. There we go. And then we have, let's use br to break this line and move to another, and create another label. And we give this time a name. We are following what is here. We are creating something similar to what is here. So we have name, email, mobile number, and description. So now we go to email. We have email as an input, and we break it, use br to break it here, line break, and we move and go and give an input type of email. And what input type email basically does is, input type email means that if you type something which is not an email format, which doesn't contain characters like at, .com, for example, if you type coffee inside an email input type which is an email, you get an error that sorry, you have to enter a valid email or something, you understand. So we have an input type email here. So now let's refresh our page, and then we get another input which is email when we have something here. There we go. And then we have another input, mobile number, meaning they want you to enter only mobile number. So we have to use br to break the line. We give another label. We give a label which is mobile number, and then we break another line, and we type the input type, and this time we are going to use number because we want to dial only numbers, we don't want any text. So this time around, if you are submitting this kind of form and you have something which is not a figure or a digit, it's gonna give you an error because it's strictly for numbers. Okay, so let's close it and refresh page. Codes on here, and we see we have mobile number. This only for mobile numbers, anything number. Okay, so now we have the description. This thing you are seeing here is a field input type text, but they have styled it to give it a width and height which is a little bit higher or larger. So now we don't have to do that too. So we can use a text area. So we have a text area which basically behave in this way too. So description, let's give another label, the description. So the description here, and then we give a text area instead of giving input type, because we want a bigger box. Text area is basically a bigger box for you to type comment and other things. So oh, so let's see what we have now. Sorry, let's break, and you can see we have description box here, and then we have a text area here which can be resized. So I should have created a BR here to break the line, to bring the description to the next box. Exactly. You see, we have similar thing as we have here, but this particular page has been styled with CSS, cascading style sheet. So it has been embellished, it has been decorated. That's why you are seeing it in a different way. It has been shifted. So as time goes on, we are going to do it in a systematic way, and we will be able to shift it to the side. All right, so as we have this here, and then we have a submit button. We create another BR, create another BR. Okay, create another BR, and then now your submit button. But if you can see, they are all inside the same form, and then so create another BR, and I create a submit button. We have button, and we have an input type which is a button. Understand? So input type, we have input submit, meaning input type submit, and the value is going to be the text that's going to show. So let me say comment, or something. Yes, is submit, but ours is comment. So now you see we have a button here. So right now we are now coming to testify whether there's email field. If you enter something else which is not an email format, it's going to work. So let's type $stir and then submit it. You see, please enter an email address, meaning this is not a valid email address. But once I make a $@gmail.com, I'll be able to submit my form. Good. And the same applies to the phone number. If I type Kofi inside the phone number field and try to submit, get please enter a number. But once I type 0556667 and press enter, it's going to submit successfully. So I think this is some of the basic of HTML and what you can do with HTML. So in our next video, we will be looking, sorry, let me add some few more input types. We have input type, yes, we have input type, we have input type checkbox, As you can see, the input tags have no closing tag. This is only the opening tag that we use it throughout. So it's BR line break and then input. So for that, I know that they don't close them, and sometimes image tag, but for image tag you can close it. So let's use an input tag type checkbox and give it some label of mail, and then PR. So you can see we have a checkbox here, so you can check it. Good. And we have another input type, which is radio. Input type radio. Good. Input type radio, similar to the checkbox, but it's in an oval shape. It has an oval shape. So label, we give it yes or no. Basically, they use them for yes or no options, like true or false, something like that. So let's see what we have here. Okay. Okay, so let's refresh our page, and there we go. We have some oval thing here, yes or no answers. Okay, so now let's move on to one more thing, which is the input type password. How anytime there's a password field, you don't see the text, but you see only some round thing dots, because we use input type password. So let's give an input type of password right here, and label. So label, we have password here. Sorry for the background noise. And there we have input type password. Yeah, so we have input type password here, and password. So now the type of input, if I try to, let me give it a line break. This time if I try to enter something, it's gonna be, so I think this is good for today's video. In the next time we learn how to add images to our web page, as this page has an image like this. We'll be learn how to use images on our page. So thank you for being with me throughout this video. The name is Dollarsoft from Purple Software. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any comment, leave it in the comment box or drop it in the WhatsApp group. Thank you.